Greetings and welcome back to Room 303 and our chats with Emily, as we're calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson. We turn now to poem 90, Within My Reach, exclamation point. It's significant, that exclamation point. There are 5 of them in a 9-line poem. And I think there's something to the exclamation points of this. I don't think they're just throwaway punctuation for this poem. Now, when the poem was published in 1890, this poem was actually titled Almost, which is, I think, fascinating. And I think there's some concern as to exactly how this poem is to be read, as victorious or as sad, lugubrious. It'll be up to you to decide as we work through the poem. Now, I want to remind you that violets are some of Emily's favorite flowers, and obviously she loves her flowers. My Emily group pointed out that violets are symbolic of faith as well as remembrance, so we'll want to pay attention to that as we read through this poem. Now, our assumptions are that you've been following our stuff at learnstrong.net. Down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily on playlist. I'm hopeful that you've been introduced to the very early comments that we gave in our introductory set of comments, as well as I'm hopeful that you've already read the previous 89 poems. We just finished with Some Things That Fly Their Bee. And when we put all of that together, we notice that as we begin to read these poems, that, for example, the punctuation marks, the 5 exclamation points here, are something that we've seen before. Now, there's no doubt that one of the things we've already seen in the previous 89 poems of Emily is this tendency towards regrets. And I think it's an important part of Emily's life. I think it's very much a part of what's going on in this poem. Again, the poem is titled Almost. Think about her use of already the word perhaps. The possibilities. You'll remember that we've already said that in poem 696, when we finally get there, it is acres of perhaps that will get played with. Now notice the poem is divided up, interestingly, with these exclamation points. She'll say it this way. Within my reach, I could have touched, I might have chanced that way. Soft sauntered through the village, sauntered as soft away. So, unsuspected violets within the meadows go. Too late for striving fingers that passed an hour ago. Now, the idea of being too late, and we'll come to it, is, I think, very, very much a part of how to read many of Emily's poems. Notice she'll begin with 2 sentences with exclamation points. Within my reach, almost there. I could have touched, I might have chanced that way, right? Now, again, the repetitions. Soft, sauntered through the village, sauntered as soft away. Now, there's any number of ways to read this. I mean, obviously, one is, I went the wrong way through the village, and because I went the wrong way through the village, I didn't get to see the violets that were there, so unsuspected. That's a key word, right? Unsuspected violets. Within the meadows go. And then, of course, the phrase, too late for striving fingers. This, notice here all the S sounds, the sauntering, the striving that passed an hour ago. In other words, you'll remember in poem 89 that she said some things that fly there be, and then one of those is hours. Here, it's an hour that has passed by. And what has been lost? Well, it's too late to be able to enjoy the violets. Now, some scholars have read this as a literal reading. In other words, there's a scholar named Farr who made the observation that, Emily loved violets, and because their loveliness came up in meadows often unsuspected or unseen or too late, and obviously the literal reading of this poem is just simply that the violets that she could have seen, she wasn't able to see. She missed them because of her sauntering through the village. But there is another reading of this by Carolyn Dahl, and in the Boston transcript of December the 22nd, 1894, she played with the theory that, in fact, in this poem, the saunter through the village was a man, right, who was Emily's lover, and that she missed him, and that kind of ruined her chances for love forever. But it will be Emily's sister Vinnie who would write in a letter of reply to Miss Dahl, quote, Emily never had any love disaster, end quote. Now, I kind of leave it to you guys to see how you're going to read through this poem and understand this poem in terms of what I could have had that I didn't have. But I am fascinated by her use of too late. For example, when we meet in poem 205, she'll say it this way: I should not dare to leave my friend because if he should die while I was gone, and I too late should reach the heart that wanted me. Or, for example, when we get to poem 236, and she'll say it this way: would but some god inform him, or it be too late, say that the pulse just lisps, the chariots wait. Or when we get to poem 623, she'll say it this way: it was too late for man, but early yet for God, creation impotent to help, but prayer remained our side. And when we get to poem 1012, she'll play it out this way: which is best, heaven, or only heaven to come, with that old codicil of doubt? I cannot help esteem the bird within the hand superior to the one the bush may yield me, or may not too late to choose again. Or when she, in poem 1449, I thought the train would never come, how slow the whistle sang, she'll say: to hide my strategy too late, to wiser be too soon, for miseries so halcyon the happiness atone. And finally, when we meet poem 1637, we'll hear her say it this way: is it too late to touch you, dear? We this moment knew, love marine and love terrene, love celestial too. So this idea of being too late, not quite getting there to the moment that is of greatest benefit, I think is central to our reading of this poem at 2a. That is to say, it's hard to live without regrets in one's life, and yet I think Emily would make the argument that it is in fact necessary. At 2b, well, I love the use of the exclamation points here to emphasize the idea of it being too late. At 3a, well, you'll remember in Maud Muller, John Greenleaf Whittier's classic: for all sad words of tongue and pen, the saddest are these, it might have been. Finally, at 3b, what was a time when you've known this feeling, a time when you lived with regrets, when you didn't get to either pick or to see the violets of your life? Thank you.